my name is Jenna and today I'm here doing my January TBR. So this year I want to do something a little bit different with my TBR because I think at last count it was like 118 physical books on my TBR or something. So I really want to cull that number down a lot this year. But I was kind of in a bit of a slump and I was kind of struggling because I don't do well when I have to stick to a TBR. So when I have a number of books that I have to read, I don't really do well sticking to it in a certain order. So instead what I did was I sat down and I looked at my Goodreads and I made this document that said every single book that I owned, and it kind of put them into categories of when they were released. So I've got books from before 1980, books between 1980 and 2000, 2005, and then as the years go on, something like 2016, 17, and 18, they have their own categories because I bought so many books during those years and just kind of never read them. So what I'm planning on doing this year is every single month I'm going to be doing one of these categories. So for January, my category is before 1980. So the list of books I have to choose from are all books that were published before the year 1980, and these are books that I have on my TBR. So there are 9 books on this category, which means I have 9 books to choose from for my TBR. That number kind of fluctuates. I know some weeks I have, or some months, sorry, I have like 15 books, others I only have 7. So that number definitely fluctuates and there's definitely room for changes and that sort of thing. So this is what I'm going to be doing for my TBR this year. I'm still going to be doing my TBR jar challenge and I'm still going to attempt to read the YA Circle books of the month. However, I don't have money so I can't purchase them. So if they're not at the library and I can't borrow them, then I won't be reading them. So what I'm going to be telling you guys about in my TBR videos is I'm going to be giving you that list of books from that category which I can take from, but they won't be in any particular order, or if anything they'll be in the order that they've been released. And then I will tell you what the TBR challenge is, but I won't tell you what book I'll be reading for it because I'm going to pick that one when I get up to it, and I will tell you the YA Circle book of the month whether or not I'm going to get to read it. So the YA Circle book of the month for January is The Disasters by E.K. England. I don't yet have a copy of this, but I think I did get a gift card from my grandmother for Christmas yesterday because I haven't seen her because I've been in America. So hopefully we'll be able to use that gift card to buy this book, which means I should be able to read it. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it is set in space. I believe it is about this character who gets rejected from this space academy, and then as he is about to return home, the academy gets attacked by terrorists and he and 2 other failures are used as scapegoats for these terrorists who have attacked, and now they are on the run trying to figure out what happened, who attacked them, that sort of thing. It does sound really cool and I do really hope that I get a chance to read it. And bringing back the TARDIS, this time hopefully I'll actually get to do all 12 months of it. There are more than 12 pieces of paper in here though, because when I cut up my pieces of paper, ended up with 16 pieces and I don't like to waste anything. So I've got 16 choices. So as the year goes on, if I'm doing really well with reading, I might even do 2 challenges in some months, might do double or nothing, but we'll see. But January's challenge is, drum roll please, it's upside down, a book set in Australia. I already have something in mind for this, which is great. And now I'll tell you guys the books that are in the categories. Like I said, there are 9 books, and the first book that is in this category is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So the thing is, a lot of these books, especially these ones in particular, the before 1980 ones, a lot of these are uni books that I have tried to read, and I usually struggle with them, and I feel like I struggle with them not just because of the writing style, but because I'm forced to read them in a certain amount of time for uni. So I'm really hoping that by setting myself this goal that I want to try to read them but not force myself to, like I'm gonna start them and if it doesn't happen I'm just gonna put it down and move on. But I have decided, because I have a lot of uni books, any book from my uni book that I DNF, I will be unhauling, because like this will be the 4th time I've tried reading Pride and Prejudice, and the thing is, I really do want to read this story. I just hated reading it for uni, so I'm really hoping that I'll be able to read it nicely and actually enjoy the story now that I'm not being forced to read it, because I do want to read more classics, I just don't want to be forced to read them. Second book I have to choose from is Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I just realized I didn't tell you guys what Pride and Prejudice was about, but you all know what Pride and Prejudice is about, yeah? It's a pretty universal story. Cool. So this one is Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I love her Jane Eyre novel, like I really do, but I got about 200 pages into this one I think, and I had to stop. I literally couldn't keep going, but I really do want to read this one this month. I'm actually thinking I might audiobook it because I do find the audiobooks for these are a lot easier to get through, so I think I'm going to try that. What this one is about, not entirely sure. I think it's if I remember correctly, it's about a girl called Lucy Snow who leaves England and sets sail for Villette, and she becomes a governess or starts working as a teacher or something. It's kind of loosely based on Charlotte Bronte's life. It was really interesting, the 200 pages that I read, but then it was such like a slow read, so I really struggled to keep going with it, but I'm determined I want to try to read it this time around, or at some point anyway, because there are 9 books in this category. There is no way I am reading 9 books this month. It's just not happening. The third book in this category is E.M. Forster's The Longest Journey. This one I don't know much about at all, and I get the feeling this is one that I'm going to unhold because it's about this guy who has an overwhelming desire to write, but he ends up marrying a woman and settling down and not fulfilling his destiny or fulfilling his dreams. And it's kind of like a character study about that. That sounds like it's going to be like a really personal and depressing story, so not sure how I'm going to feel about this one. Next book in this category is A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. The best thing about it is it's so short. I do struggle with Virginia Woolf's writing, but it's like not the same kind of writing as Mrs. Dalloway, so I think I'll be okay. It's really short. It's only got 4 chapters, and I think I should, fingers crossed, be able to read this one quite quickly. I don't know exactly what it's about, but I believe it has to do with her feminist movement and females and writers, I believe. Don't quote me. Next up, we have The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith. This is a book about a murderer. So we follow Mr. Ripley, who is on the run from his creditors. He owes people a lot of money, and he is determined to stay one step ahead of them, and he is happy to kill in order to do it. I believe this story is told from Mr. Ripley's point of view, which means we are actually in the mind of this murderer, which sounds really interesting to me, and I really do want to read it. I don't know why I didn't read it in the first place, because I feel like this is not like a classic novel. This is a novel that I feel like I will really enjoy. So I am really excited to get to read this one. Next up in this category, we have The Chance of Jimmy Blythe by Thomas Keneally. This one I don't really expect me to finish, but I am determined to at least give it a fair go, because I didn't even try last time. I just went, nope, not reading it. So this time I'm gonna give it a fair go. It is a fictionalized account of this mass murder killing spree that a guy called Jimmy Governor went on in Australia in the 1900s. I think it was the year 1900. He married a white woman, and all these social issues came up obviously in that time, and it ended with him going on this killing spree. So I am really interested in it. Like, I do want to know. I struggle with the concept of reading it in novel form. So next up we have 2 books from the same series, and that is A Wind in the Door and A Swiftly Tilting Planet, both by Madeleine Lee Engel. They are part of the Wrinkle in Time quintet. So I have 5 books, but like, it's so confusing because some of them have to do with Meg, some of them have to do with Charles Wallace, some of them have to do with other people like twins. I don't know, it's confusing, but I have a quintet, so we're gonna call it that. So A Wind in the Door follows Meg, who has to try to save Charles Wallace, her brother, and A Swiftly Tilting Planet follows a teenage Charles Wallace, which is really intriguing to me. Like, that kind of jumps a bit. So I loved A Wrinkle in Time, and I'm really excited to see what happens in these books. And then the last book in this category is The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. I am really interested to read this one. The only thing is it's so big, so I feel like a book like this, I feel like if I chose to read this book, I feel like this is the only book I would read for the month, but I'm not too fussed about that. So I don't know a lot about it. I believe it is set in like the future of our world, and there are now elves and mystical creatures, and it follows this guy called Shia who has to journey to find the Sword of Shannara in order to stop this warlock that has apparently risen again. So it does sound really interesting, and I do really want to read it. It's just really fat. I don't know, I haven't read a fat book like this in a while, so I do want to read it though, and I am really excited to have it in this pile, I guess. So there you go, that is all of the books that I have to choose from to read in January. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you have read any of these books and what you think. Also, let me know if you like this idea of kind of, you know, giving yourself like a big list of books to pick from instead of a really tiny list that you have to choose from, because I want to know if you have done that and if it really works for you. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.